Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Surah Al A'raf, next verse number 189 and 190. These are the two verses which we are going to reflect upon today. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Huwa alladhi khalaqa lakum min nafsim wahida. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing our attention to the creation. He says, He is the one who created you all. Khalaqakum, all of you He created. He is the one who created. So our creator is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one. How did He create? Min nafsim wahida, from a single nafs, whom He is referring to, Adam alayhi salam. Waja'ala minha, then He made from her zawjaha, his zawj, his wife or his partner, which is Hawa alayhi salam. Why? Liyaskunu, li means here li refers to so that, likai. Liyaskunu ilayha, so that he might feel calmness and tranquility, sakina with her. So that is the purpose of our marriage. I'm just slowing it down so that we contemplate on that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who chose our spouses. And through her or through him, we need to find this sakina which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, liyaskuna ilayha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put that sakina in that relationship. And we need to be able to get that sakina. If you are not getting it, we need to find out why we are not getting it. We need to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many, relationship conflicts and trials and tribulations, there is a purpose, hikmah behind it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to understand that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to get closer to Him through all the things which we go through our life. Everything is through the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the purpose of your spouse is to liyaskuna ilayha, so that you get that contentment, calmness and the tranquility through her. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what happened? Falamma, so when taghashaha, when He covered her, referring to Adam alayhi salam. Adam alayhi salam was created, then Awwa alayhi salam was created for him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلَ مِنَّا زَوْجَهَا, and He made from him zawjaha, his zawj, his partner. Then falamma taghashaha, when He covered her. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to the intimacy, sexual intimacy when Adam had with Hawa alayhi salam, alayhi salam. Hamalat hamlan khafifan, she carried a light pregnancy, light pregnancy. What does it mean? It's beautiful. Wow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is transitioning. Initially it was khafifa, it was light. فَمَرَّتْ بِهِ, when she carried it around. فَلَمَّا أَشْقَلَتْ, then it became heavy. We know that how the pregnancy proceeds, right? It became heavy. She became fully pregnant. Then they both made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to their Rabbahuma, لَيْنْ آتَيْتَنَا صَالِحًا, if you give us salihan. What is salihan? A perfect child in all sense, physically and spiritually. Salihan. If you give us a perfect salih child, لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ, indeed we will be of those people who are grateful to you. Shakara. So Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam is making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They had their sexual intimacy. Hawa got pregnant. Then the attitude they have is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, you are blessing us with a child, make that child salih, perfect. And if you give us, we will be thankful to you, we'll be grateful to you. Why it is important? Next ayah, Allah says, فَلَمَّا آتَاهُمَا صَالِحًا. Now this is referring to the generation who came after Adam alayhi salam. Whenever we give, because this process continued, the boy, man and woman, they get married, they have a relationship, then they get children. And فَلَمَّا آتَاهُمَا صَالِحًا, whenever we blessed the partners with the children, salih, the perfect child, جَعَلَا لَهُ شُرَكَاءَ, they both make partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fima atahuma, from what we have what has been given to both of them. فَتَعَالَ اللَّهُ أَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah is most exalted, the most high from what they associate partners with. So basically it is referring to what's happening around us. When people get married, sometimes there might be a delay in, having children and all that. They may not be getting pregnant initially. Then the shaitan comes and plays tricks upon them and make them, do some kind of, worshipping deities, or in back home in our, place we call, we make a pledge that we go to such and such place or maqams or such and, different man-made creations, or they end up worshipping the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking them for kids, for children and all that. I hope I'm trying to make it very diplomatic, but at the same time, the truth need to be told. When you're tested with not having children for a while, you will get a little bit, shaitan can come and play a trick on you. You never ever compromise on the fundamental concept of Islam during that time. You cannot associate partners with Allah. You cannot ask any other human beings, be it saints or living or dead saints or anyone. You can't do that, what we call, in Malayalam we call it nercha. You can't say that, okay, if we get a child, we will do such and such things for such and such maqams and all that. It is absolutely no. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. فَتَعَالَ اللَّهُ أَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. Allah is the most exalted from what they associate partners with. Very, very important. I want this message to sink in. Our creator is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our spouse is for us to get that sakina from, and our children are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they are healthy, if they are pious, we need to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Adam alayhi salam said. لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ. We will be grateful to you. Then the generation came from Adam alayhi salam. They started associating partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this aspect of reproduction and childbirth and all that. They started depending on other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says, فَتَعَالَ اللَّهُ أَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. Allah is exalted from what they associate partners with. Let us not fall into that kind of trap of shayateen to associate partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we go through the difficulties in our life where there is delay or some challenges and all that. We should not compromise on our basics. Okay? Assalamu alaikum.